Alright, everyone, Supreme Kami over here. So we are going to be doing the alteration review for the big scale SHB Xi Gundam. So I am not even going to be doing a summoning video today. I'm pretty sure a lot of people are wondering like why I'm not doing like the actual normal summoning video right after it drops. To be honest with you guys, just look at the overall kit. I know it's good, this one being a big scale, this one has access to commander, is all around good. But in terms of what I need at this point in time, it's just something I don't need, in terms of what I have for my shooting build specifically, most of my part are nearly maxed out already. So if I want to dump into summoning on the Kasi for example, right, it's not really that worth it in a sense. Like I have to basically re-upgrade everything, and it's pretty much going to be like a resources and then investment heavy. So that's why I am actually going to be doing 3 summoning in this alteration review for you guys, and then that's going to be pretty much it. Basically, I'm just hunting for the L badges. In terms of like, do I really care if I don't get anything? It doesn't really matter because eventually it should be in those big pool banner, like those premium banner for example. So I don't really mind not getting it. And then for once, I'm just pretty much summoning for like the what is it, the event, like the warfare mission multiplier, and that's pretty much it. Like, do I really need anything from like a Xi Gundam? It's good, honestly. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, it's actually pretty good. But in terms of me personally, I just can't use any of it. Honestly, it's bad. So maybe some part are good for like specific arena mode, like for that 1 week for example, but other than that, they're pretty much gonna be in my back pocket and pretty much never gonna be used until like, oh, that mode again for example. So Xi Gundam over here, so we are looking at what 8 parts over here. So what I'm actually gonna do, let me actually filter this out by the Hattery Flash. So I want to take a look at the P attribute as well, because in terms of this attribute, you guys pretty much are aware of in terms of this one having like a second attribute for the Xi Gundam. So since the new one has the ability to go into a 7-star, so whatever the war tag is on the original one, the P attribute, you will be able to access is the original war tag. The original one when it came out is pretty much like the best shooting part possible, because it has a lot of part that has commander. So let me just kind of show you guys real quick. I believe every part in this kit actually does have it. So let's see. Yeah, pretty much every port does have it. So as I do talk about, in the SHB version bit, do kind of keep that in mind. Why I'm like, why is he saying, oh, he has commander, but he does not actually have it as, in his own kit? Because you have the P attribute, and then if you do have the 7-star, the new Xi Gundam, and here's the other portion of it. Here's the important part. You have to have already owned it, a part of the PIGBKC, to actually have access to it. So don't ask me later on like, oh, like I have my Xi Gundam, the new version at 7-star, but I can't access it. Like what's going on? Are you lying to us? No, you have to have access to the PIGB first, then you can do it. So kind of keep that in mind. So it's not gonna be something you can use innately. So it's pretty much gonna be one of those things that you buy like a, I don't know, let's say you buy like a clock for example, but it does not come with like a battery. So it's it's pretty much sold separately. So that's pretty much gonna be like an analogy that I'm gonna be using. So all right, so let's take a look at and see how good this one can be. Kind of keep that in mind already right on the spot. This one's gonna be a big scale, so in terms of this one is a thumbs up, a very good, it's pretty positive, I would have to say. So not bad overall. And then what else is positive? Commander, this one having access to commander, I believe to this day, from December when they actually dropped 7-star parts, we have, what is it, the Hakashiki Kai. That was the first one having commander tag, so that was good. And then the second one that have access to commander, I believe it was the equivalent. It was via, it's either its own kit having commander, or if you have the alternative attribute, you can access it. And then the third one was the O, and then same thing again, same process. If you have the other attribute of the O, you can pretty much share the same vortex. So this one is being a fourth one, so I will have to say this one is pretty much like good, like a pretty good, highly anticipated shooting based unit having commander. So I think every part that you're able to pull for example are definitely worth altering. And obviously if you are able to pull multiple parts for example in one specific, like one multi summon, and you only have one L badge, I will have to say work on something that you guys pretty much have or need improvement the most, and I will say that's pretty much a good way to go about that. But in terms of the Kasi, in terms of this version of it, let's do kind of hopping out without any wasting any more time. So look at the head part here. So what are we rocking with? So in terms of stat wise over here, you guys can see that it is going to be on that 16,632 stat. Gonna keep that in mind. It is going to be on a little bit of a lower tier if we do compare to some of the previous or some of the newer, let's say big scale like the Strike Freedom. This one is like rocking 17k. But you have to keep that in mind. This one does have access to commander, so it's gonna be a lot more better in terms of like actually building it out. And then in terms of the portrait, this is something that I want to grill the development team for doing that. Like why? Like what kind of stat bag is that? Like they're offering a 20% to initial charge boosting and then a 35% all power boosting. So have we not seen something better on the roster already? Let me see. Oh, right there. Look at this. The Wing Zero. That's the TV version. 25% and 40%. But kind of granted, this one does have a fairly restrictive kind of condition. Only beam. So I mean, like obviously this one's better, and this one 25%. But this one is locking you out to only high firepower. So that I guess is gonna be a trade-off. But this one is not that much better. Oh, look at Purpose Strike Freedom. No, but look at the Strike Freedom. Look at that. Ace exclusive. Oh, look at that. What is that? 25%. So what are they doing? Like how is this one better than this one? So in terms of portrait wise, I would have to give like a thumbs down in terms of how they're doing it. They could have just outright give this one like a 40% for EX skill boosting and then a 25% for the initial charge, but they're holding it back a little bit. I guess they don't want to make the Kasi way too powerful than it's needed to be because commander already. So so in terms of head part, definitely I would say it's still solid if you guys don't have any good initial charge boosting part. And obviously having access to commander when you do have a 7-star, having a P attribute version. So long story short, this one is still a fairly good part for a S attribute here for sure. So going over to the torso and let's see what we are rocking. So torso wise, in terms of the overall stat, we can see that it is a little bit slacking, only coming in at 9,960. So it is going to be, how many places that? 9. So kind of taking a look at the overall roster, you guys can see that in terms of part that has commander, I think I left out, what is it, the new, what is it, the new Xeon War example. That one I believe does have access to commander as well, but that one is fairly balanced stat. So that's why originally I didn't even put it on the paper because it was just so outright bad. So in terms of this one, what is this one doing? I honestly, I personally do love the torso because of the fact that they're offering that buff EXQ effects up by 30%. We pretty much do need something of a replacement of, a little bit of a kind of like a universal one. I think the last time we got a buff trait was actually the Rothfire Gundam, if I can find it like right here. This one was not good. Like this one is locking to middle shooter job, and this one is locking you to only P attribute. So originally when it first came out, I was like, no, they shapped it apart. Why did I not make it, universal? And here we go again. Like how many months later, they are doing the exact same thing, locking this to this. Like if we would have gotten like a EX skill power boosting instead, oh my gosh, I would literally hop in to spend all my hardships. Like not even gonna lie, like this is like a part I need. Like these are part that I'm hunting right now for upgrade, like improvements. So that's in my opinion, this is like a fumble. But to those that actually run like an EX skill, like a 100% cooldown reduction type build, this could be a sneaky good part to allow you to do more damage. So if you're still someone that uses, let's say, a cooldown reduction type build on 3v3 for example, you get some buffs going on, and this right here is going to help you out by a lot. So it's not bad overall. This one does have access to commander at the end of the day, so still going to be a fairly good torso. So definitely still a good recommendation in terms of what you want to be focusing on. So okay, so up next, let's talk about the arm. So arm wise over here is a little bit better in terms of stat wise only. It is going to be better than your Quibble, better than your Hagashiki, better than your so yeah, that is very important in terms of the overall stat, kind of stat gain, and then in terms of just power grips and all that. But what is the arm doing? So just looking at this one, originally I thought the stat was quite horrible, honestly, in terms of the melee aspect of it. But I guess what I did fail to kind of talk about is the overall armor piece. Armor is actually really high, and then some, some other stuff that I did not really cover is actually the beam resistant. It's actually quite high. So whenever we do get, let's say, the beam resistant, specific mode for arena, right? This is definitely going to be some parts that you guys can definitely take out of your pocket, throw onto your build, and then you guys should be pretty much good to go. So those are going to be some tiny aspect that I did not really cover, because primarily when I'm doing this review, I pretty much just look at the actual damage dealing part, like the melee stats, the shooting attack stack, and some defenses. Some of the more arbitrary armor, resistance, they're not gonna come into too much place unless they're really they outshine all the other stats that I'm like, oh yeah, look at this one is actually pretty good in terms of that specific category. So in terms of this one, continue to trend this up some pretty high, you can say armor pieces over there, or armor stats, so that's actually not bad. Actually shot attack is actually pretty good already, 6k plus that 9k digit for defense, so that's why you are looking pretty good with that overall stat. But this one does come with an EXQ, so if anyone is planning to use the arm, do kind of make sure that you guys do a sub slot with a portrait, and that you guys should be pretty much good to go. So in terms of this EXQ wise over here, we are looking at the funnel missile combo. So this one is pretty much going to be exact the same thing as the predecessor, but in terms of EXQ, kind of like what they're doing, they're actually dumping it down to only A+ power or A+ piercing. So that is unfortunate, but you do gain it's kind of like a initial, cooldown reduced by 28% instantly, so that's actually pretty cool. But do not confuse with cooldown instantly or cooldown reduced or instantly by an X amount percentage with your actual EXQ cooldown reduced, because they, in terms of how they're calculated, it's actually different. So this one is directly going to reduce that 28% portion of your actual EXQ, for example, while in the other hand, we talk about the actual EXQ cooldown reduced, for example, it actually just calculates, like, let's say, I don't know, if your EXQ is like 120 seconds, for example, and then you only have, let's say, 50%, so your, in terms of your cooldown, is only 50%, so it works differently. So you still have to wait another 60 seconds before it reloads, so they work completely different, so don't try to get them mixed up and all that. Yeah, but 28% is not that bad, honestly. It's definitely going to be a very good, supporting role if you do use this EXQ. So definitely something, you could use for, like, specifically a multi-mission, for example, if you in your squad or in your crew, your ally needs some instant cooldown, for example, right there, use this EXQ and you're pretty much good to go. So overall, in terms of style, you guys can definitely alternate it, but in terms of EXQ, I'm not really gonna pray too much about that. I think it's definitely like a step down from the original one. Let's kind of take a look at the original one. Like, look at this one. This one is coming in at a S piercing and A power. Oh, they actually sacrificed the HP health or the health recovery. Yeah, I don't know, man. That's kind of unfortunate, I guess. They could have just kind of leave that HP restriction right there, and we would have been talking. If they would have left that HP in there, I think that would pretty much make a solidify like a good EXQ. But they took it out, so it's like, I don't know, man. Like, what do you want me to do? Like, do I want to use the new one or the old one? I'll probably go with the old one, honestly. That health recovery is somewhat important. So, right. So moving over to the leg now. So leg wise up here, in terms of the stat, it is gonna continue to plummet whatsoever slightly. But in terms of innately, this one is going to be packed in Commander, so you don't need to even have the original version, and you'll be able to access it. So that's actually quite powerful. Some of the other Commander type parts that I did not mention is actually the Reborns, but in terms of the Reborns, that is actually going to be a build project part, so I guess it wasn't really worth mentioning. And even the Sinanju, not really worth mentioning either, because I'm pretty sure most people will not even have it at this point in time. So yeah, that's why I didn't even say anything. So in terms of leg-wise over here, we are having another one of these funnel type or the funnel missile. In terms of the actual animation, from what I saw from Intruder, it's actually slightly different from the Penelope. And then in terms of the hit rate, it seems to hit pretty fast, pretty consistent with the Penelope as well. So in terms of EXQ, I'll leave the actual Twitter EXQ footage in the description below, and then you guys can definitely check it out at your own time. So EXQ wise, not going to be anything too surprised. I think the last thing that we need to kind of look at is just going to be the overall style. Almost at 7,000 for armor. That's actually pretty cool. 5k for shot attack and 9k for shot defense. So that is actually it's hot. Definitely fairly hot. But we're not gonna make it into the upper like the top pedestal. That is gonna be for the strike freedom. But just gonna say one more time, this one does have access to commanders, so definitely gonna makes it a lot more better in terms of building around that. So no complaints on that. So if you guys want to use Lake, feel free to use that. Just gonna make sure that in terms of the sub-slotting for whatsoever, do try to see if you guys can put a good portrait, and then you guys are good to go. All right, so moving over to the backpack. So backpack wise here, man, like all right, so let's kind of talk about the stat first. Pretty good, armor pieces right there, 7,600, so that's actually pretty good. Actual melee attack is 5k. Shot defense is another 9, almost at 10k though, so that's good. That is a fairly good. So what about the portrait? In terms of portrait, we are getting another double 40% trait. So this one is actually, in terms of the condition, is a fairly lenient, I would have to say. This one is suggesting that you have a 5,000 beam resistant. When you open that, you are gaining that 40% shooting power, so that's actually not bad. And in terms of the second condition, so basically your own melee attack goes down by 20%, and then an EX or enemy shooting cut by 40%. So this is like a new way for them to do like an actual power boosting. So this one is not bad, but take a look at the roster. Take a look at this. We have not this one. We have 1, 2. Do we have another one? 3. We have, so basically 4. We have 3 additional one that has similar property. This one stated being big scale. This one the endless wing 0 is a big scale again. And what else was 40%? This one is not. But basically these two are pretty much covering what you already need. I mean, the only positive side, or like the only like a plus side for this one, like better, like why would this one be better than the other two? This one having access to commander. I think that is pretty much that solidifies why this one is better, because this one does have access to commander. But other than that, if you guys have this one, or even the Zeta right here, you guys are good to go. There's not really like a need to actually get another torso or back part here. So yeah, I mean, like, they're pretty much doing the same thing, and just this one does a little bit better. So what can I say? What can I say about this one? So up next, let's kind of go over the beam saber. So this is going to be the twin blade version. I think I missed the shield. Excuse me. Let me talk about the shield first. So in terms of shield wise up here, stat is actually not looking too terrible, honestly. Stat wise is not going to be on the high end, obviously. The high end is still tying down to the wing 0, but kind of keep that in mind. This one is a big scale. Like these up here, they're not big scale, so this one makes it like the best option out there already. Zeta is coming in second, but in terms of overall portrait or the word tag is not really up on par. This one having commander, so definitely a little bit more treasured. So in terms of this one, it's actually quite good. In terms of the first portrait, they're offering a EXQ power boosted by 40% already, so that's actually good. Secondary portrait, they're giving out an EXQ piercing boosted. So piercing boosted, so this portrait is quite rough to kind of get around, just because I feel like piercing is still not that important in a way, I feel like. So I would say this one is pretty much going to be a stat sticker. What I would do if I have this chest, for example, what I would subslot myself is actually going to be the Cosmo shield, the Star Build Galaxy Cosmo. I'm just going to put that shield on. I think that shield to this day, like even after 2 years later, it is still one of the best shield possible. Just because the one it's offering is just too good, so yeah, if you guys are able to put a shield, for example, definitely do subslot the Cosmo shield. I think that is pretty much going to be the best combo. Not the best set, but definitely going to be the best combination, offering a very good set of portraits. So overall, in terms of shield, looks pretty good. So does have some pretty high armor. Shot attack is not too bad. Shot defense is 10k. So yeah, definitely really good Gundam type, and then commander. So definitely a really well-rounded kind of vortex set right there. So now we can talk about the Beam Saber. So Beam Saber, in terms of this iteration of it, this is actually going to be a brand new version of it. So in terms of talking about link attribute, having the ability to access its original vortex, that is you won't find it here because this one is like a brand new part. So it's not bad overall. So I would take that as like a so-called quote-unquote brand new part. So in terms of the actual Beam Saber or the couple, or this one is actually the twin blade version. So this one, in terms of stats, it's going to be rounding up to 4K, so that's actually not too bad. This one, in terms of the actual portrait, I'm not gonna say this is like a must-have to alterate, for example, just because in terms of the investment for these types of EXQ, or just basically any of the limited suits that has these EXQ cooldown reduced by 20%, 23%, they are a fairly hard to invest on because if you just take a look at base EXQ level 1, they are only offering a 10%. So if you are, let's say trying to reach that 100%, it is going to take you a few parts. So obviously, you max it out, this one's offering 20% already. So it is definitely going to be a steep investment. So that's why I tend to usually recommend people to, if you're trying to run like an EXQ cooldown reduction type build, try to go for either standard part or either welfare part, because they're pretty much easy to max out in terms of welfare. Standard this tend to take a little bit of time, but it's still going to be a lot more easier and a lot more inexpensive in terms of getting into portrait level 10. So this one outright is obviously pretty good if you are someone that is able to spend some money, for example, or able to kind of dump some, you know, those trait upgrade pincer, for example, into these specific portrait. It's actually not too bad, right? If you do want to go that route. But in terms of you just simply want to run like an EXQ reduced build, I would definitely suggest a standard or welfare part to take its place. So, but overall stat definitely really good for that Beam Saber. So if you guys are planning to use it for some stat staking for purposely, it is actually pretty good. So not bad overall. So last but not least, we do have the beam rifle. So let's see what we are rocking with here. So beam rifle, we actually do have a substantial amount of gift option out here already. So, but let's kind of see what this one is offering. So this one, in terms of overall stats, is going to be 17,000. I think the pretty much the only redeeming factor is this one does have access to, let's say, commander. So that actually makes it a lot more powerful. But in terms of, let's talk about the pure portrait, for example, this one is pumping out another 20% to a 35% splitting. Look at this. Look at the roster. Kind of take a look at which one is doing the same thing but better. This one is lucky to high firepower, so that you can say is you can disagree on this one being good, while this, you know, how can you say this one is good when it's locked down to a specific vortex? So that's kind of like a really niche option. But this one is offering a 25% and then 40% trait, so that's, you know, pretty good. And then if you do want to also talk about some other, you know, similar situations over here, we can take a look at the Lightning Zeta. So this one does obviously have some better stat, but do keep that in mind. This one, in terms of Kasi, it is going to be a big scale, so actually it's going to be higher, you know, obviously with the proper subslotting. So yeah, we basically do have a lot of these 40% trait already, like the Strike Freedom 40% trait. We can also take a look at, you know, this one, like I mentioned already. This one, the Tology F's another 40% trait. Oops, let me do this real quick. And I believe last but not least is, I will have to say, is a competition over here. It's definitely going to be the large beam rifle. This one is going to be pretty much going to be a double 40% trait and having access to big scale. So it's going to be either or, but obviously this one, in terms of stat wise, it is going to be slacking whatsoever slightly, roughly about 600 points. So you guys can definitely pick your poison in terms of which one you want to be using, honestly. But I think overall, in terms of the Kasi, they definitely did a pretty good job in the overall stat. Portrait wise, I definitely do have to grill them a little bit on it. I just feel like they could have bumped it up to the next mile. Like in terms of like these ones specifically, they could have easily done like a 25% to a 40% split, but they did not do that because I guess to kind of nerf it whatever so slightly. This one having access to commander, so that's why they have to do that, I guess, in the logical kind of thinking. But overall, in terms of Kasi, definitely a very good, you know, unit to be looking at. But last but not least, as I promised, I am going to be doing 3-summoning just to secure myself some L badges. So if I don't pull anything, for example, I'm not going to be too mad about that. I'm simply just trying to secure some L badges. And then I think, you know, like I might actually not even summon as often if next week or in 2 weeks they're still going to continue to drop those let's say, oh, we are actually going to be getting a part. So what a okay, cool. We're getting a shoe. Okay, so what was I talking about? So if 2 weeks later, if they still continue to drop another one of these, let's say recycled banner, for example, and it's not redeemingly that good, in terms of my build, personally, I might not even summon as much until maybe the anniversary, until they really try to drop something new. That's just kind of my plan, because I do take a look at those somebody video in terms of like the overall views there. Like in terms of the unicorn, it was not doing good, so I'm just like, so maybe I don't know, like because at times I do kind of look at the overall stat on the YouTube aspect of it, so I can't just like, oh, let me buy some power chips and do some summoning when it's not really that beneficial to me as the overall channel, for example. So that's why kind of my 2 cents on it, I guess. So it's not bad getting a shit right there. So gonna do 2 more summon over here, so let's see if we can secure multiple, I guess. I don't know, let's see. Okay, so this one's gonna be a dud. So okay, yeah, definitely the rate is not too hot. It is still gonna be that what that 5%, and then 5% for the normal pool, like that slot 1 to 9, or basically any slot could be 5%, and then there's gonna be one specific slot that is gonna be 16%. So let's see if this one's gonna be it, and it's not. So all right, we are done. So I'm not gonna really pursue anymore. I guess I kind of get what I need already. So but with that being said, that is pretty much gonna be it. Hopefully you guys, like, if you guys do need this part, for example, definitely do go for it. But if you guys do not pull for, then you can see, I don't think it's gonna be like a big miss, for example. But with that being said, that is gonna be pretty much it, and then I'll catch you guys all on the next one.